challenging spirit within Honda. It gives us the courage to go faster and the thinking to make it real. Whether it looks like a truck, a sedan, or an SUV, inside is the heart of a race car.
Welcome back to a completely different day here at VIR. We started this morning with rather gloomy weather, but we're getting ready for the Formula Regional Americas Championship Race 1 from VIR, Virginia International Raceway, and I'm delighted to be joined by a young racer who is going to be racing later. Again, he's already done the F4 race, but he's going to be doing his second one of the weekend. That's Titus Sherlock alongside me, Jonathan Green, as we take a look at the grid as they head out of pre-grid and on to the track. And Titus, first and foremost, quite a different day than when you went out earlier today.
Yeah, very different. When we went out, it was full rain tires. It was super damp. I had to be super, super careful, and it was also much colder as well. So now it's warmed up quite a bit, and they're on slicks.
Had a bit of a spin, but you know, so did the champion. Tough conditions out there, but you're still in the hunt mathematically, and a chance of it more kind of realistically of getting runner-up in the championship. So a good season.
Yeah, it's definitely still on. Unfortunately, was in a podium position on the last lap, and then lost it going into the S's. But yeah, points-wise, still in contention for second for sure.
Now, this FR championship, especially as a cross-link Kiwi man, has been fascinating between these two, which is, of course, Callum Hedge of Auckland, New Zealand, and Austin, Texas's, another Texan, Ryan Shearhan in the all-gold 66. Really important race for Ryan Shearhan. He's looked good all weekend. He's always good here, actually. I remember him in pole here in F4 last year, and then it all went horribly wrong at the horseshoe that we're looking at right now. Which kind of put paid to his hopes of mathematically winning the F4 championship last year. But he's been in a huge battle with his teammate, Callum Hedge, who has totally dominated proceedings here in the USA. As a rookie, I may add. Never raced any of the tracks here, but has been really, really strong.
Yeah, for sure. I think Ryan had like a little edge at the start of the season at NOLA, but then since then it seems like Callum's kind of taken over. And they've been really close, though, especially this weekend. Sheehan's actually, I think, been right behind him. So, yeah, it's all to play for here.
Yeah, I spoke to him earlier in the weekend when he was quickest by over a second, and I said, "Wow!" And he goes, "Yeah, I was on sticker tires. He wasn't." And then of course, Callum put the sticker tires on for the next session, and they were almost identical. And yesterday's qualifying was curtailed after a crash, and therefore. Unfortunately, Ryan wanted to do more laps, but has to settle for second place. But it's a really important race because as we stand with, 6 races to go, like I said, Callum Hedge has dominated. He's won 9 wins compared to Ryan Shearhan's 2, which were both at NOLA, I may add. But Ryan's done a really good job of doing what Ryan Shearhan does well, which is be consistent and be strong and keep his head and not make mistakes. That's the one thing you can count on from the 66, is that he is metronomic in his precision of racing, and that's kept him in contention, and that means that between them now, with 6 races to go, there's just 55 points, and with 25 for a win, it really is hotting up nicely, and there's every chance that this could go all the way to the wire. And what a fairy tale it would be for Ryan Shearhan if he could make it at COTA and win the scholarship to go to Japan, because, of course, that's his home race. That's where, as a 9-year-old, he went to see an SVRA race of all things and fell in love with motor racing, and the rest is history. He's got a lot of sponsorship and backing back at home in Austin, Texas. He's become quite an entrepreneur in his own right. But Callum Hedge has a fantastic story too. Would you believe it? He's supposed to be racing in Australia right this moment, but this championship seemingly more important to him because there's a chance of winning, a chance to go and follow in the footsteps of Liam Lawson, his fellow countryman, and go to Japan and race in the Super Formula Series, thanks to Honda. The last year they're doing this, I may add. So, again, a little bit of history for Callum Hedge. But I've been watching this kid since he was, 15 years of age. He did the Toyota 86 Championship, won that, got a scholarship, then took on Charlie Wirtz. So I've been watching this guy all year long because he was runner-up in that series, and he's been racing for Earl Bamber, another brilliant single-seater turned Porsche and sports car driver, races in his team in Australia in the Carrera Cup, and he's got a chance to go and win a scholarship to go to the Super Cup later in the year. So exciting times for Callum Hedge. And like I said, 9 wins at tracks he's never raced at. Pretty darned impressive. The good news is, though, the likes of Cooper Becklin and Oliver Westling are catching up and are making good progress. And their season's seemingly getting better and better. Becklin's done a good job of being consistent. He's only had 1-0 that I can see at NOLA in race 3. And likewise, Oliver Westling, the Swede-turned-American, if you will, won one race at New Jersey. So he, too, is now full of confidence. So, Titus, let's get ready. Key, obviously, is to start with this long run down to the horseshoe.
Yeah, absolutely. Super important to get a good launch for these guys down into turn 1.
Not a big field, but a strong field. We've grown well since 2019 in this series, and our champions have gone on to greatness. Think of Kyle Kirkwood now, an IndyCar driver, and doing brilliantly. So that's where they're trying to follow. And away they go then. And this is a really important start for Ryan Sheehan. They've been almost identical on times throughout most of the weekend. In fact, Ryan, if anything, has had the hedge. And he's got the hedge in a bit of a quandary here as they dive into turn 1. I thought Ryan was going to have a poke then, but he doesn't. Westling goes into third. And Sheehan now switches to the inside as they go through the horseshoe for the first time. And overhead shots from the drone shows you that Callum Hedge defending that position into turn 2. But it is Hedge from Sheehan. Westling gets turned around at 3. He got a tap from behind. And would that be Bowlesby, I think? Yeah, because Westling, I think, got the jump on him at the start. But would you agree with me? That was probably Bowlesby that just touched him at the back there.
Yeah, I believe you're correct. Looks like he just hit him in the braking zone. Maybe he just missed his braking mark a bit.
Can't believe how different the conditions are to your race just an hour ago. But it's bright sunshine now and dry conditions. But we've lost one already, and it's a real shame for Westling. Bowlesby turning him around at the worst possible moment. Max Hewitt now steps up to 5th. But it's Hedge, Sheehan, Bowlesby, Westling. It was recovered. Hewitt's 5th. Hill, and then Kevin Jansen, who's going to join me in commentary later today. Everett Stack stepping up. Let's take a look at that again. And Titus, you tell me what you see. We can see here it's tight between these two.
Yeah, it looks like he just missed his braking mark. Pretty simple as that. Just went right into the back of him.
Real shame, and nobody wants that. And I bet you're spitting when somebody does that to you because there's really nothing you could do. And it's not your fault. 28 minutes to go and settling into the race. And you can see this is the story of the championship. These two have totally dominated proceedings, and they really are a step above. They raced each other, in fact, in January and February in New Zealand, in Callum's home country, where he knows the tracks well and has been a champion there in the past. Ryan, though, was trying FR, similar cars, for the first time. But he came back to America with bags of confidence, and they've gone wheel to wheel ever since. And they really are a step ahead of the race. There's a good battle here between Cooper Becklin and the number 6 of Nicole Haverda. We had her in commentary, and look at this, side-by-side action between those two. Good. And we learned a little bit about the Canadian, and she's doing really well at the moment because this is her first season as well. So compared to the rest of the field, besides Everett Stack, she's got less experience than anybody out there in terms of these cars. So she's doing a really good job of equipping herself because she didn't do F4, so pretty impressive.
Yeah, certainly. It's a very fast car. I think she did limited F4 testing beforehand, and she's stepped in and done really well so far.
So through goes Cooper Becklin, who didn't get the start he wanted. Like I said, he's been Mr. Consistent as well as Ryan Sheehan this year. There she is with the pink helmet. From Vancouver, Canada, had a quick introduction to her parents who are backing her. And she fell in love, saw a Formula One race at Montreal and then in Austria, and said she was a big competitive swimmer, but said, forget it, I want to go racing. When did you start? What was your first sort of, right, I got to do this?
I mean, I was always into racing and stuff, but I actually went to an F1 race in Austin.
Okay, there you go.
Around 2017, I believe.
All right. Who won that year? I can't remember.
Well, it was Raikkonen, I think, actually. So
That's right.
2018.
That was Raikkonen's last Ferrari win, wasn't it? Yeah. Amazing. So, settling down now, but it is Hedge. The gap, 0.5, and Sheehan's now got to keep that gap, if not close it. He really needs the points. He's got a 55-point lead, has Callum Hedge, which is incredible when you think he's won 9 races. He should be further up the road, but Ryan has just kept in there, consistently getting the podiums, and that's allowed him to be still in contention for this championship. Cooper Becklin, the tall former high jumper. Well, he's not a former high jumper, he's a current high jumper. And I know all about that because I used to do that myself when I was a kid. And unfortunately, he's beat me by 2 inches. But there you go. Good kid. I saw him today, and he had went off at the oak tree, did Cooper yesterday. Didn't damage the car too badly. Yeah, was a little bit miffed about that. But they got it all prepared and got it back to ship shape as they go under the bridge. Which section of this track? I love this section coming up. It's almost flat out all the way through, isn't it?
Yeah, the S is super fun. It's flat out in both classes. Then you have that super fast left-hander called South Bend at the end, which is a slight lift, and it requires a lot of confidence. Then you just saw them go through Oak Tree, as it's called, and that's a super tight corner. You have to get a really good exit for this long straight that they're on.
And can you get a decent, can you get a bit of a slipstream down here? I'm looking at Ryan from above. You can see how he's closing the gap. In fact, he's going for it. Here comes Ryan Sheehan, but Callum Hedge late on the brakes and closes the door. Great racing between these two. And it's neck and neck, but definitely the draft working there.
Yeah, absolutely. In both classes. I think it's in F4 it's a bit stronger, but yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of straights here, and the draft is huge.
The thing he didn't do right there, I don't think, was go. You know, he may have, he perhaps should have gone for that earlier. Another chance for an overtake here, because another long straight down towards the horseshoe, and the gap is less than half a second. It's 0.2 to be exact, and you can see how close the 66 is getting right there in the tailpipe of Callum Hedge. And if anything, if nothing else, if he doesn't make the attack and doesn't make the overtake, he's forcing Callum to race within his mirrors. And that's really hard, isn't it? Because you're concentrating on your own game, but you've got to keep watching where the heck the guy is, right?
Yeah, it's really tough when you have someone right behind you. You got to think about what they're doing, and they're always kind of distracting you in a way. When you're going into your braking zone, you always have kind of one eye on them, so it's easy to make a mistake.
And the thing is, they know each other's game so well now after this full season because they can share data. They're in the same paddock or same stable, I should say. And so they know each other and who's got the advantage where and when. And like you said earlier, they're just so close on times that there's nothing between them. But, of course, it's Ryan who now needs to start winning. He needs another win under his belt. And if he can get one this weekend and close the gap just a little bit, then they can go to Austin, which is another track that Callum won't have raced at. But it's a track that there's plenty of simulation, and he'll do that simulating work. But I was talking to Callum at the beginning of the season. He's been on planes, trains, and automobiles, quite literally, zipping between Australia, New Zealand, and, of course, the USA. So it's been a really tough year physically for Callum and coming to strange places. Wasn't so keen on New Jersey, said it was too bumpy for him. But you got to win there, right?
I did, yeah. First win of the season. It was definitely my best weekend of the season as well. Getting on the podium twice and a fourth. So I really enjoyed the track personally.
Yeah. There you go. Well, that's the difference. Across the line they come then, and still nothing between them. 0.289 to be exact. Hedge and Sheehan way ahead, 7 seconds ahead of Bowlesby in third. Bowlesby there, and I have to say that if I know my mate Scott Goodyear, the race director, he'll be looking very closely at Bowlesby's move and breaking into the back of Westling, because Westling was kind of taken out there a little bit. But we'll see what he decides. You never know. It's racing, and I am not the judge. But Bowlesby there in third place after that incident. Austin Hill, who's had a busy year this year, coming into the season for the first time in FR, up to fourth place. Hewitt is fifth. And likewise, the 21-year-old is also in a good position. Beckland's done well now. He's back up to sixth. And Haverda in seventh. Stack eighth. Now, Stack's a good story. Stack is a good story. He's was in F4 at the beginning of the season, so like he was competing against you, but then chose to jump up, which is not an easy thing to do mid-season.
Yeah, he jumped up to FR after a few F4 races. They seem to do that a lot at that team. They have a certain program where they do a certain amount of F4 races and then they move up. And yeah, it's a big step. It's a lot different of a car to drive.
But actually, I quite like the idea where you can go into a championship. Ooh, big moment there for the 39 of Hewitt. Just grabbed it there, just grabbed a little bit of steering wheel, but got the oversteer. But nice to see them fighting the wheel like that. It's a long, fast circuit, this, isn't it?
Yeah, very long. You're full throttle all the time pretty much, except for a few slow corners. And drafting is huge here. You can see they're kind of stuck together here, and that draft is keeping them together.
Can you physically feel, or do you know the distance that you, or do you suddenly feel the suck of the air?
You can kind of just tell by how much you're closing on the car head, and all of them have the same or very similar horsepower. So when you're catching up a lot, you can definitely feel that.
Yep, all with Honda power, of course, and that's the beauty of this series. Is they should be, besides the the setup of the car, which is wings, pressures in the tires, and the brake balance bias. You get to do your own setup, but rudimentally, they're all the same cars with all the same horsepower, with the Honda Civic turbo engine compared to the F4, which doesn't have the turbo. And so it's been a really good, fair series. And like I said, I mentioned Dakota Dickerson, Kyle Kirkwood, Hunter Yaney, all come through this series and got on to bigger and better. And that's the whole idea of an FIA series. 12 points, FIA super license points towards Formula One, of course, and that is a huge amount of points, given that 40 would get you into Formula One itself, or at least make you eligible for it. Not mean you're going to get a seat, but that's what they're all fighting for. And if you ask most of these youngsters, and Titus, I asked you earlier, but the realistic ones say, yeah, sure, I'd love to do Formula One, I'd love to do Indy, but I'll do whatever I just like to go professionally in racing, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the goal, making it a living.
Oh, big moment for the 39. And that's a big, big off for Max Hewitt. And he was struggling a little bit with oversteer on the last lap through there, and it's just not worked out. A little bit too hard, perhaps, through that area, but Max Hewitt spins it round but gathers it all together. And meanwhile, the battle between Hedge and Sheehan continues. Now, I've got to ask a question. You're from Prosper, Texas. That's not a motor racing place. You should be playing football or bull riding or something.
Yeah, pretty much everyone there does play football, but I actually started racing in California, and there's it's a pretty big karting scene there.
Yes, there is. So you came through the kart ranks, yeah.
Yep.
That makes total sense then. Well, like I said, Ryan Sheehan from Austin, Texas. Not much of a racing scene before COTA was built, but now it's starting to flourish, and people very much knowledgeable. But if you like, Ryan is the first single-seater poster boy of the series, of Austin's race scene in single-seaters, I should say. Let's take a look at what happened to Max Hewitt here. And Titus, you've probably been in this situation. Tell us what you see.
Yeah, he has Cooper right behind him, as we were talking about earlier. That can make you have some mistakes, and he just went in too fast, locked up the front and lost the rear. Pretty easy to do there. It's tempting to try to roll a lot of speed, but you really have to focus on exit there. And yeah, he just lost the rear on the way in. And
I'm sure Cooper Becklin behind him was not smiling, but going, "Yep, I know what that feels like," because he did exactly that yesterday. Oh no! Callum Hedge has blown it at the same corner that Hewitt did and gone off. A very rare mistake by the Kiwi, and he has gone off, and into the sunset goes Sheehan. His mother's here this weekend, and she will be hopping for joy. Dad's watching at home. Let's take a look at it again. A rare mistake. Callum Hedge was pulling away. I think he was pushing maybe a little harder than before to try and get away from Ryan, because he was obviously in the slipstream and therefore a little bit of a sitting duck. Ryan hits the brakes as Callum at Oak Tree, a famous place to go off here, has gone off in the 17. And, well, that is a rare mistake from Callum Hedge here in the United States. 9 wins, but under the pressure there from Ryan Sheehan, it could be a real opportunity for Ryan Sheehan to take his 3rd win. And that is a rare mistake for Callum.
Yeah, that's surprising. Probably the same mistake as Max. We couldn't see it too much, but probably just went a little bit too hot and lost the rear.
Yeah, and it looked to me as though he was getting a little bit, not agitated, but it looked as though, I'll take a look at the lap times afterwards, but I think he was pushing because he gapped him a little bit. The gap, had been, now what's happening here? Because Everybody's slowing down.
That looks
Are we under safety? Oh, I thought for a minute there that, yes. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
My eyes aren't deceiving me because I looked down and Sheehan, it's hard to tell from above, but Sheehan suddenly slowed down. But, boy, talk about live to fight another day. Hedge has really got an advantage now because he can catch right up to Sheehan, who at that point had got a 7-second gap after that spin.
Yeah, I'm sure Sheehan wasn't too happy to see that after getting such a big gap. That was probably a pretty locked-in win for him unless he made a mistake. But, yeah, now he has to deal with Callum again.
What a shame. Now, what do you think would have done to the car? He didn't have a bad off. I mean, he got a bit of dirt on the tires, but the car should be fine, right?
Yeah, it should be fine, especially now he has a whole safety car period to clean them off, so it shouldn't affect the car too much.
Well, listen, we're under caution here in what is a absolutely critical race in this battle for FR 2023. Well, I'm alongside Titus Sherlock. We'll be back with more action from VIR when we get the resumption of this first feature race of FR Americas.
Mission Foods Austin Speed Tour returns to Circuit of the Americas November 3rd through the 5th, featuring the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli, the Sports Car Vintage Racing Association, International GT, FR Americas, and F4 US Championship. Saturday, you can take part in the Haggerty Cars and Caffeine Car Show with Parade Lab. You do not want to miss the Mission Foods Austin Speed Tour November 3rd through the 5th. Children 12 and under are free. For tickets, simply go to speedtour.net.
Welcome back to VIR, where there's all sorts of drama going on here. We're in the pits with Kevin Jansen in the 24. Don't know what's gone wrong there, but we're under full course caution. And what's happened is that Ryan Sheehan was chasing down Callum Hedge, who was starting to push on a little bit to try and, if he could, break the gap between them. Because every time they were on one of the two long straights here, Ryan Sheehan had the advantage of basically getting a slipstream from the leader. And so he was trying to break that gap, and he came into Oak Tree, missed his brake or lost his braking point. Oh, it was a little bit too hot. I'm no racing driver. I'll let Titus tell me which he thinks, but he already did, that Callum made that mistake. It lost him 6 or 7 seconds, but it's all gone away because, as you can see, the car's now following the Honda Civic. And now Ryan Sheehan has got to do it all again. Now, this isn't, I mean, we always think of this as being a period where the drivers relax. They don't. This is actually a very hard part of the race, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when it's hot outside. You can see they're right now warming their tires up. That's actually very physical to do that. The wheel's pretty heavy in these cars. And
that slow speed is even worse, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. And you're also hitting the brakes really hard, stopping, going and stopping, sorry. So, yeah, it's pretty physical. And sometimes you actually want to wait to do that until you know the safety car is coming in soon. Because you can actually get the tires too hot.
I'm going to say you've got no idea. There's no sensor telling you how where the tires are, or is there?
No, there's not for us. And that's actually, for us earlier in F4, it was kind of tricky warming our tires up in the wet because you actually don't want to get them too hot.
Right.
Because they're very easy to overheat because they're much softer. So it's kind of just by the seat of your pants. What do you feel?
And the same with brakes. I mean, you know, you're also dabbing the brake to keep them warm. But, again, you've got no sensor telling you whether you're at the optimal temperature for the brakes to work properly.
Yep, it's something you kind of just develop over a season. You can kind of feel it, really. Once you start hitting the brakes more and more, you can feel them work better and better, and that's how you know when they're up to temperature.
Mark Petch and the team watching on, and, yeah, quite a few Kiwis in Kiwi Crosslink, as you'd imagine. But is there anything else you're looking for? Temperatures?
Yeah, it's mainly just keeping your temperatures up and then also keeping your engine cool.
How do you do that when you're under safety?
You try to just stay in clean air, really. So when you're going in a straight line, just try to have your side pods in clean air and also keep the revs low.
Okay, good point. Yeah, yeah. You don't want to sit right behind the tail of the other car because it's giving off heat straight into your into your side pods. So as you can see, the lights are off on the safety car, which means that Ryan Sheehan literally, and I don't want to put too much emphasis on this, needs the race restart of his career because he's got Callum Hedge, the championship leader, behind him, leading by 55 points, but he's got a chance to win here at VIR. He got pole here in F4. It didn't come. He got taken out in that race, and his championship went away then, but now he's got the chance, and he's got away well. Nicely done by Ryan Sheehan, but look at Callum Hedge already poking his nose up the inside, as he should, at the horseshoe bend, but now he's under pressure now from Bowlesby, and that could change as Westling also in the number 1 who got turned around is starting to make his way through. So this race has changed dramatically once we've got this field back together again. But Sheehan's done a good job at the restart. He's just gapped himself by about, what, 2 car lengths at this point, and that's all he needs right now to control this race.
Yeah, he's had a super strong restart. You can see there he's probably got about half a second between them. So super strong, just needs to try to break that toe. That's very difficult to do here.
Well, this is a good battle too. Look at this. The 8 and the 19. 8 is Austin Hill, and he's losing out to Cooper Becklin, who makes a really bold move. It's not easy to overtake in this section of the Snake and the S's because, well, there's only really one line through there. He's just made it too, but you've got to really be on it, haven't you?
Yeah, sometimes the drivers kind of have to work together a bit there because, you know, only at the end of the day, only one of you can go through. So sometimes you have to concede a bit.
Yeah, we saw in your race how a car came through there chasing Alex Berg and went off the 91. I forget who it was, but yeah, he basically had to pull out and he got too close to Berg and spun off. So, all right, we're neck and neck between these two as we look high above the VIR track. I love these drone shots. Really shows you the art of racing. But Sheehan doing a good job so far at that restart. And I didn't want to put too much emphasis on it, but it could prove in the run back at Coda to be an absolutely pivotal race, this. And also, when it's one first race of 3, you really just want that race. And it changes the whole weekend for you.
I believe Callum has gotten ahead of Ryan somewhere.
Has he already?
Yeah.
Oh, he has, you know. You were absolutely right. Good spot. Glad I got you here. And in fact, Sheehan's dropped to 3rd because Bowlesby's got through into 2nd. So there's been either a mistake by Ryan is more likely, and look at this, side-by-side action between Haverda and Hewitt by the looks of things, and they're still side-by-side as they head out of 2 and into 3. They're chasing Westling. So we've got some good drama throughout this race, but already big change. Hedge back into the lead. Bowlesby now 2nd, and Sheehan. So all that good work that Ryan Sheehan did has come to naught. He's going to be kicking himself. Becklin now up to 4th. This is a good race for Cooper Becklin. He's come right through, and he's up to 4th now. And there's plenty of time. I say 9 minutes. Doesn't seem much time, but it's a long time in an F3 race or an FR race. And so a really good opportunity for Becklin maybe to get onto the podium if he can keep going the way he's going.
Yeah, interesting what happened to Sheehan. I think we missed it, but must have been at the roller coaster towards the end of the lap, I
think you're right. I think he must have entered onto the main straight because Bowlesby, if you remember, was all over the back. As they went into that lap, Bowlesby was very close to Callum Hedge. And so maybe they both went through when I think he must have either gone wide or missed a braking point of some sort because he didn't go off because he hasn't lost that much time. So he's still there. He's just got to recover himself. This is so hard. You know, as a racing driver, you know, you're kicking yourself. You're kind of like, do you have to put it out your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I went through it this morning. I spun the very last lap, and I didn't have any time to recover it. But yeah, you have to forget about it as fast as possible and just move forward.
Well, they're starting to look like the season all year long as the 17, sponsored by Tony Quinn, the Gilcraft Group, and many others. And they'll be tuning in New Zealand. I'm looking forward to coming and seeing you boys and girls at the TRS Series later this year. But Callum, runner-up in that at the beginning of the year. But now looking to see if he can follow in the footsteps of Liam Lawson and make it all the way to Japan in Super Formula. What a great prize offer they have given, because Super Formula, if you think about Pato Ward, Pierre Gasly, and many others, the latest being Liam Lawson, currently 14th on the grid in Qatar, well, made his name in Super Formula, and that is the opportunity for the winner of this championship. And it's either going to be Callum Hedge or Ryan Sheehan, but Sheehan's got some work to do now, and he's got to turn this weekend round in the 66, the all-gold number 66. Interesting character, very different racing driver than most. He's very much his own man. He's grown up literally in the last year. I've watched it happen, but his father is right behind him, but he's become an entrepreneur. He's his own businessman. And if you talk to his dad, he says, yeah, I try to help, but Ryan does it all. He runs the team, and look at this. Here comes Sheehan again on Bowlesby. Gets the slipstream, gets the overtake. Will he make it stick? He's got to go really late into this one, and he does. That's good work from Ryan Sheehan. And we see it from above. That's the best way to see it. He had to muscle his way through there, didn't he?
Yep, got the draft down the back straightaway and just went up the inside going into the turn 16.
Nicely done then. So back up to second place, and that's important for Sheehan, and it's important for the championship too, because having lost the impetus, having had the lead, he's bounced back well. The gap now probably 3 seconds, I'm guessing now, to Callum Hedge, and with 6 minutes to go, we've got 2-3 laps maybe left in this, and as you can see, Sheehan already pulling away from Bowlesby. There's Callum Hedge coming through turn 2, and there is Sheehan. So the gap probably about 4 seconds at the moment. So Sheehan's got it all to do. Fastest lap so far, Callum Hedge, a 1:47.0, and Sheehan's best lap at 1:47.4. So he's really got to get the hurry up on if he's going to have a chance at a crack. As more battles going on, Oliver Westling with Hewitt. And both of them have had their problems. Westling got turned around by Bowlesby, and Hewitt spun at the oak tree. And there is Nicole Haverda from Vancouver, Canada, in the 6th. And she said to me earlier in the day that she wanted to get a top 5. Well, she's currently 7th, and she's got some work to do to catch up with Westling and Hill. But as they battle, actually, it plays into their hands. Do you kind of keep an eye on the battles ahead and think, okay, if they're going to battle this hard, I've got a chance here?
Yeah, when cars are battling, we got another caution here, but when cars are battling, it's going to cost them time, which ultimately helps you.
This is like tennis. This is like, okay, advantage Hedge, advantage Sheehan. This is always an advantage when you get a safety car. And if it comes out again, young Ryan Sheehan, the 18-year-old from Austin, Texas, Horseshoe Bay, just down the road is where his license comes from, but he is an Austinite for sure. But now he's got the chance to catch up Callum Hedge under caution.
Yeah, all that gap is going to, again, go down to 0 if we get a chance to restart. So that's very positive for Sheehan, but not for Hedge. Yeah,
Hedge will be hating this. He's a really laid-back character, Callum Hedge. And he's the most unlikely of racing drivers in that when you meet him, you know, he looks more like a surfer. And you know what I mean when I say that.
Yeah.
He's not the kind of, short-haired kind of... He's very much a laid-back character. He's great to be with. He had some fun in the winter playing with his Crocs and trying to get a sponsorship from the American Crocs company. And he kept wearing them in every press conference going, if you're watching, I'm wearing my Crocs.
Yeah.
It was great. So now Sheehan has really got to do something special here. And Cooper Beckland's the man to watch, I would have said, at the restart as well, because he's got a chance to get on the podium. And what a change this race has been for all of them, because almost everyone in the field has had some sort of drama outside of Hill and Haverda. And Stack actually doing a good job, Everett Stack. So got to be pleased for him, because he's just learning. He's just literally just stepped up, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure what the caution was for, but I think it might have been for Hewitt. I think he's dropped back some positions.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
It could have been something with him.
Well, we'll find out. But as you can see, we're back to that all-important stage where you're... there you go. Well, you called it. Well done. Max Hewitt off and in the tyres.
Yep, that looks like it might be at Oak Tree, turn 10, which is actually where he spun earlier.
And he had one lap where he got big oversteer, and then the following lap, he spun it, and now it looks, you're absolutely right. He's done it again. So that corner is not on his top bucket list. Well, if you're wondering where the Oak Tree is, it doesn't exist anymore. It used to be there, and in fact, it used to be right on the inside there, and they used to go underneath, literally, the oak tree, the famous oak tree, hence the name. But they've replanted a new oak tree, and it's growing. It'll be probably 100 years before it's see the statue of the ones behind it in the distance. But that's why that name is so. But what a dramatic first race this has been. But like I said, it's so important for your weekend ahead to try to, just... I mean, I know you had a spin, but that was it. And I know that you're probably annoyed at that. But it was a decent race. You had a great start, which was the important thing.
Yeah, a good start. I mean, we started 7th, and we were running 3rd, so it was a good race until then. But yeah, I mean, it was in the rain as well, super difficult conditions.
By the looks of it, I'd be surprised. I'm looking at the clock. We've got 2 minutes. I mean, if we may just get a 1-lap sprint to the flag, and that would be probably the best from a race perspective for us, the fans, and likewise for those organising it too. They want to see as much racing as possible. They didn't come here and come and join the championship just to go around behind the pace car. That doesn't teach you anything, and this is what it's all about. Scott Goodyear will tell you as many laps as you can get done at a race weekend. This is you're not learning anything here, are you?
Yeah, unfortunately, this morning as well, since the conditions were so rough for us, we did have quite a few safety cars. And yeah, when you're running behind a safety car, you're not learning anything, and you don't have an opportunity to move up positions at all either.
You're listening to Titus Sherlock, who will be racing later in the day. He's already had one race today, fighting for the F4 Championship. You can see him in the 31 Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport car. And I think we're going around again, and I think that's because they still haven't got Hewitt's car out of the way, and I think we're unfortunately going to have to finish under safety as we did in the previous race. So that will mean that Callum Hedge will take the win, which will be disappointment for Sheehan, and there is the checkered flag. So Callum Hedge wins again, win number 10, and poor old Ryan Sheehan will rue the mistake that he made. Whatever it was, we didn't quite see it, but he still recovered well and maintains that chase.
Yeah, really great drive by both of them. Obviously, each of them having their mistake. We didn't see Ryan's, but I'm assuming that's what happened. Both of them drove really well, and that pace-wise, they both seemed almost identical.
And so Bowlesby does hold on to third place, but I still think that that might have been something that the race direction will look at afterwards, because he did come together with Westling, who recovered well to fifth place. So Becklin may, in the end, move up to third. I don't know yet, but still, intriguing first race. Boy, that had everything. I thought yours was exciting, but that was a good one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was very exciting. Lead changed quite a few times. And, yeah, like you said, Westling was taken out by Bowlesby first lap. I think that probably will be a penalty. I'm not sure, but it seemed pretty clear he just missed his braking mark.
Well, I hope that's revved you up to get ready for your next race, but coming up in a couple of hours' time. But still a lot of racing to come. I hope you're enjoying our live stream of VIR, one of the great circuits of North America, and one of the first ever to take the idea of turning it into what we call a racing resort, which is you can get a condo or a hotel room here and effectively bring your own car or become a member and do so. And so many of the greats have done just that, and that's allowed these sorts of events to take place as well, and the maintaining of the circuit. And it really is truly a great place to go racing in the heart of North Carolina and Virginia. They say on the license plates, Virginia's for lovers, but here they say Virginia is for race lovers, and you can understand it. There's those condos I was talking about. They're pretty cool, right on the track there. So if you're not racing, you can sit and watch at a perfect spot. And if you are racing, then it's a great place to be able to relax afterwards, because you don't need to leave the circuit. So it's finished. My thanks to Titus Sherlock coming in here. Thank you. And good luck. 31, right?
31, yes.
Starting fifth?
I think between 5th, 6th, or 7th. I can't remember, to be honest.
Doesn't matter. Either way, your team's doing very well. Callum Hedge and Ryan Sheehan, as the Dunhill season, are first and second again as they fight out this championship, and it's going to the wire, I'm sure. Hayden Bowlesby takes third for the IGY6 Motorsports team. Cooper Beckland in fourth. Oliver Westling recovers to fifth. Austin Hill sixth. Nicola Haverda in seventh, and then Everett Stack eighth. Kevin Jansen in ninth, and Max Hewitt rounding out the top 10, having not finished going off at Oak Tree. So, a very intriguing race. Callum Hedge gets lucky, I would say, a little bit, having had that spin, but was able to recover with the safety car that came out. Sheehan had an opportunity, but unfortunately that was thwarted too, so we didn't get the battle to the end that we wanted, and we finish under caution. My thanks to Titus Sherlock. I'm Jonathan Green. We're going to take a short break, and we'll get to the action from John Phippen with our top three very soon. Down in the paddock, we'll hear from Callum Hedge from Auckland, New Zealand. It's an interesting dynamic, given that they're both on the same team. And, you know, you think about Perez and Verstappen sharing data and looking at it, but the truth is Verstappen's so far up the road, whereas these two are much, much closer, even though Hedge has had the majority of the wins. Ryan has been right there with him all the time. Nice overhead shot. You can see the lake. You don't often see that. And this paddock spreads right out. In fact, the FR cars and F4 cars are in this bottom paddock. Some of them, like your team, are up at the front near our commentary position, which is that red little brick barn, if you will, or at least it looks like that. It's fashioned that way, but big crowd. A lot of interest in this. We've got SVRA, Trans Am, and F4 and FR, all under the Pirelli Holdings name. So a big event here for VIR. So in the Callum Hedge in that famous number 17. And so many great Kiwi drivers have been sponsored by the likes of Tony Quinn and the Giltrap Group. And in fact, Chris Vanderdrift, who's racing for him this weekend in Australia, also carries similar colours. So well done to them. Mark Petch, his engineer, helping him out. Another Kiwi. Gets the hat. And the celebration's about to start for Callum Hedge. And poor old Ryan just kind of says, well, what could I do? Did everything I could. Yeah, it's been very good and clean racing. And look at that, Roberto Moreno, for those who don't know, one of the ex-Formula One drivers of the past from Brazil. Not bad guy to have doing your onboards. And there's Tina Larson, the team manager of Crosslink Kiwi, giving him the hug. So it's a real Kiwi affair. They've dominated in the USA with mostly American and foreign drivers, but this is their first real homegrown hero. They had Yardley in the car as well, but Callum has stolen a march this year for sure. So then, as we celebrate with Callum Hedge, his 10th victory in the USA, has never raced here in America, but he isn't showing any signs of slowing down. We'll take a short break. My thanks to Titus Sherlock. We'll be right back.